This happened more than 15 years ago in Guadeloupe, a French Caribbean island. At the time, I lived in a small town called Bailleif, while my mother had just moved to another town called Petitbourg. I had never been to her new place before. Around the same time, I got hired as a school supervisor in Pointe-à-Pitre. For those who don't know, Guadeloupe commuting from Petitbourg made a lot more sense than from Bailleif, so my mother suggested I stay at her place during the week for work. But her house was weird. Not haunted. Weird. At least not at first. It was isolated in the middle of dense vegetation, accessible only through a dirt road. No real neighborhood. No streetlights. Just jungle everywhere. The only nearby person was the landlord who lived farther away across the path. I spent the first few days there without thinking much about it. Work, sleep, repeat. Then one night my mother went out to spend the evening with friends, leaving me alone in the house for the first time. I got ready for bed, turned off the lights and started falling asleep when I suddenly heard something above me. Footsteps. I opened my eyes. Silence. I went back to sleep. Again. Heavy footsteps directly above my head. I turned the lights back on and inspected the room from floor to ceiling. Nothing. The noise stopped. I lay back down. Then it started again. Now I'm a very rational person. I don't believe in ghosts or paranormal stuff. To me, those stories are entertaining, but they belong in the same category as fairy tales. Still, my brain needed an explanation. So I started searching the entire house like the dumb guy in a horror movie who slowly opens doors asking, "Hello?" Room by room. Nothing. At some point, I genuinely convinced myself someone had broken into the house. I even unplugged the TV because I thought maybe electronics were randomly turning on. Then I unplugged the blender. Eventually, I unplugged basically everything. Then the sound came back, this time accompanied by metallic chain noises. At that point, even my rational brain started struggling. Because I was now alone in the middle of nowhere, hearing footsteps and chains moving above my ceiling in the dark. I called my mother. No answer. I texted her. Nothing. For almost 30 minutes, the sounds kept moving from one part of the ceiling to another. Finally, I decided to do the absolute worst possible horror movie move. I went outside, pitch black night, no city lights, no visibility. I grabbed a flashlight but didn't even turn it on because I didn't want whatever it was to notice me. I slowly walked around the house, and then I discovered something I had somehow never noticed before. The back of the house was partially buried into a hill, almost like the terrain had collapsed around it years ago. From behind, you could actually climb the slope and access the flat roof. That's when I looked up and saw two glowing eyes staring directly at me. Not moving, just watching me. Behind them was this massive dark shape. I should mention something important. I'm not just brave, I'm also stupid. So instead of running away, I walked closer. Then I heard grunting.